and that's the longest a sweater has ever taken me, so I'm really ready to get this off my needles too. I do have like a little kind of secret goal for myself to be able to clear my needles of everything before the new year. I have the wedding dress that has a strict deadline, with Christmas gifts those have a strict deadline. I have a Christmas sweater for me and a Christmas cardigan for my son also, so all of those deadlines have to make them now. And the sweater number 20 also would be really nice to have in winter. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, my current projects, finished projects, planned projects. I talk a bit about my yarn, just anything that falls into my head while we sit here and chat. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me this week. I do have a lot of fun projects this week too. I feel like these last few weeks I've really sped up my knitting, started prioritizing it even more. I think it's the combination of the cold weather, all of the deadlines surrounding Christmas, and just my motivation is at an all-time high right now, so I'm having a lot of fun with my knitting. So can't wait to share more of that with you. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing. And today I'm wearing one of my knit sweaters that really should get more attention, and I don't know why it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, but this is definitely one of the forgotten pieces in my wardrobe, and that is the Hazel sweater by Petiteknit. It has this really pretty split here, which I really like. I think that's really flattering with splits, and this is one of the sweaters that really opened up my eyes to how much I like it. Before this, I was kind of against splits because it just felt like more job to split it and then have to cast them off two different places, but I really loved it for this one, and that opened my eyes to it actually being quite nice. It also has an amazing shoulder detail here, which I love, with German short rows both on the back and on the shoulder, which makes this really pretty like triangular shape here. There is also German short rows on the sleeve, loads of German short rows. I had a really fun time making this. It's also in all over ribbing. It's 3x3 ribbing, I'm pretty sure, and I love ribbing, especially once you move on from the like 1x1 ribbing. That can get quite boring, but 2x2 ribbing, 3x3 ribbing, I love that. I'm all for it. It made this look really weird until it's blocked, but that was also really fun, and it was really fun to block this. All in all, just a really fun sweater to make, and this was right at the beginning of me making more sweaters for myself. I have made more sweaters for myself before, but I've been a knitter for very many years with loads of breaks in between, and now I've been knitting pretty consistently every day for 4 years, I think. But before that I did have quite a long break, but when I started back up again 4 years ago, that was because I got pregnant and I wanted to knit everything for my son. So I did have a good 1.5 years where or maybe more. It was maybe more like 2 years plus where I only knit clothes for my son. I stocked his wardrobe. It was all I wanted to do was that. But once he slowed his growing a little bit and he could wear his sizes for longer and I didn't feel like I constantly had to knit to keep up, then I started knitting more for myself, and I really started knitting more for myself in 2023. That year I set a goal for myself to knit one sweater or garment for myself every month, because I wanted to start prioritizing sweaters for myself as well, which I really have done, and my knitted wardrobe has grown a lot because of that. But this was at the very beginning of that. I think this was in February 2023, so it was one of the first sweaters, and that makes it even better. So it makes me quite sad that I keep forgetting to wear this, because it also is really honestly a super comfortable sweater that I feel great in. It's comfortable to wear, so I just need to remember this more. I do think it maybe is forgotten because it does have quite a muted, I don't want to say boring, but it doesn't really stick out amongst all of my other knitwear. Or a lot of my knitwear does have quite bold colors, whereas this kind of blends more in. So I think that might be it, but definitely going to try to wear this more going forwards. This I have knit in a very different yarn than the pattern calls for. I can't remember off the top of my head what the pattern calls for, but I think it at least calls for 2 strands. And also like more stiff structured yarn, I would say, whereas I made mine in Drops Puna, which is 100% alpaca, so my sweater does have a lot more drape than the sweater is intended to. It's very drapey, not a very structured fabric at all, and it also is very lightweight because of how light the alpaca yarn is, and also me choosing to just do this with 1 strand. Also pretty sure my gauge is a bit or a lot off because of that, so this isn't as oversized as it's supposed to be either, and it's supposed to be heavier so you get more pulling on the shoulders. This does not do that, so it's definitely not like the intended fit, but I really enjoy this even if it's not, so I need to remember this and start using my sweater more. But that's it for the Hazel sweater, and we'll move into what I've actually been doing this week. And I think we'll, as always, start with the wedding dress, but I don't really have anything to say. I last week had done a good job and I wanted to keep knitting and stay on track, but definitely didn't do that. I still have not even put my needle back in the wedding dress after I tried it on. It's still on the try-on tubing. It just is a lot of work to get all of the stitches back on the needles without dropping any stitches and without the try-on tubing messing anything up, because there are so many stitches and the whole dress is so big to move around. So I've just been procrastinating and dreading that, but I'm going to try to make that happen today so I can just keep knitting. But I've also been thinking a bit, because I did try it on last week and I didn't love the way it fit, of course, but I also thought a bit about how the fabric felt, and the fabric up at the top of the dress felt very nice. I have been able to steam iron that, I think it's called, but the skirt felt very heavy and not as drapey as the top. So I really want to this weekend, if I'm able, borrow, I'm pretty sure my brother has a steamer. I have tried to kind of iron parts of the skirt, but it's very hard because the skirt is so big and everything. So I really want to borrow my brother's steamer and try to steam the skirt. I never want to wet block the wedding dress. That's too scary. I don't feel like I have enough control, but if I'm able to steam it, I think that could relax the material a bit. It would even out some of the stitches because it has some uneven stitches because it's been just waiting on the needles a lot of the time, and that makes my stitches a bit uneven when I start knitting again. So I think if I was able to steam it now, that would be great, because I would see how much it grows, which I think could be a fair bit, and then I'd know how much I need to knit, and I would also see how much it actually evens out stitches, and then I could work from there. So that's my goal this week. I don't think I'll be able to do it today, so I might hold off putting in the needles because of that, because I think it's easier to do when it's on try-on tubing. But I should be able to do it this weekend, because during the weekends we usually are a lot of at my parents' place, and that's where my brother lives. So I should be able to do that this weekend, and yeah, I'm excited to see how much that changes everything. It might also change nothing, but from how the fabric felt when I was moving around in it, it did feel like there would be some give if you were to steam it, iron it, block it, something. And I think also the drape and just how the skirt of the dress moves and feels and everything would be way better. So I'm really excited to do that. But that's it for the wedding dress. I'm not going to pull it up here because it's just big and there hasn't happened anything, so there's nothing to show. But for my next project, there has actually been a lot of progress, and my next oldest project is my sweater number 20 by Myfavouritethings.knitwear, and this I have been working on quite a lot. I do have a goal for myself. This is originally what's it called? A knit along with my friend. We are knitting the same sweater in the same yarn in the same size and trying to knit at the same pace, which we've done a good job at. But this last week I have definitely moved ahead a bit. We've both been doing a lot of Christmas gifts, but I've also this last week prioritized this really high up because I want this to be finished before the new year, and the kind of deadline that I've set myself is the 18th, December 18th, that I really want it done by then. So I had to knit a lot to kind of make that more likely to happen. I am now here. I finished both sleeves. I finished the last sleeve last night, and last time we spoke, last podcast, I was really afraid of the sleeves having different gauges, but now that I've knit them both the right length, I do think they are the same gauge. It is a bit hard to tell. If there is a bit of a difference between them, it's not noticeable when trying it on. It's not noticeable when just looking at it like this, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be noticeable after it's blocked. So I'm really happy with that, so I won't have to frog one of the sleeves. No, it was nerve-wracking while it was going on, but I really think they turned out the same. So finished the last one last night. I can't remember which of them that was. I think it was this one. So finished that, so I was able to try it on, but I waited until today to try it on because I wanted to try it on with daylight. But me waiting also meant that I was able to add a bit of length to the body, and I think I added, let's see if I can find it, I think I added one of these cables, so about that amount of length, maybe like that. So just a little bit of length before I tried it on, and I did try it on today. I'll put in a little clip here or a photo or something of me trying it on, and I'm really happy with it. I love how the cables look. Of course, seeing how the fit is on this is really hard now, because since this is so extremely heavily textured and structured, and the yarn is also very structured, this is going to hopefully probably change a lot during blocking. So me trying it on today was mostly to figure out the length. I feel like figuring out the length now that I have the sleeves on would be easier. It still looks like I have quite a few cables to go before I start doing the ribbing, but I am really close, and I also don't have that much yarn left. I think I have I might only have 2 skeins left, or I have like 2.5, so not a lot at all. So I'll have to see how many cables I can do before I have to start the ribbing, just so I'll have enough yarn. But that's my sweater number 20 so far. It didn't seem like the sleeves would have a lot of positive ease for me when I tried it on, but also this is going to relax a lot, and this yarn is very rough before washing and it blooms a lot in washing, so I hope that will save me and this will be the perfect sweater this winter. I did really love it when it was on. It was hot, it was comfortable. I love the v-neck of it. I quite like the color as well. I haven't 100% made up my mind if I think this color suits me or not, but I think it really suits the cables and I love that. So I think this is going to get used loads no matter what, and I'm so excited to almost be done with this. I've been working on this for 2.5 months now, and that's the longest a sweater has ever taken me. So I'm really ready to get this off my needles, to clear my needles, to be able to use it, and to kind of close this chapter of working on this, because it's just been going on for so long. But here it is, and we're very, very, very nearly almost there. I definitely think that in the next podcast I'll be wearing this. Fingers crossed. Yeah, here she is, and that's it for sweater number 20. She's quite heavy. When this sweater is done, it will be 950 grams. I bought 950 grams, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use up all of it. That's how it's looking right now. So this will definitely be a really heavy sweater. I think it might even be my heaviest one, but it really feels like the sweater is giving you a hug when it's on. So I'm really excited about that. I can't wait, and there's just so many details. I am really happy about like the pickup for the shoulders and how well the cable's lined up. I really love how the chunky neckline looks, and especially when I tried it on now, I was blown away by how pretty this cable on the sleeve is. So there's just a lot of details on this that I absolutely love. But that's it for sweater number 20. I hope I mentioned that I'm knitting this in Drops Alaska. It's in the color Sand. If you want to make it in the same color, I really think it suits the cables very nicely. And then let's see if I can remember the order of the rest of my knits. It doesn't really matter, but it's just a nice way for me to make sure that I remember to show them all. I do definitely have quite a lot of whips on my needles right now. More whips than I would like normally be comfortable with, but I feel like I have control of them all and a good way of working on them, so it doesn't really bother me. And I also know that it is because of Christmas and that I just need to work on things now because the deadline is now, and then other things will just have to wait. But I do have like a little kind of secret goal for myself to be able to clear my needles of everything before the new year. I think that is such an amazing feeling to go into the new year with like empty needles. But then again, I'm also going to do a Christmas cast on, so my needles won't be empty. But I kind of feel like the Christmas cast on doesn't count, but I would love to be able to clear my needles of everything else before the new year. But next project, and probably what I feel is the least likely to be done before the new year, and that is the Alfred sweater by Petiteknit. This is a sweater for my son. I think it's in the size 5 to 6 years. I really struggle to remember the sizes for the different projects for him because I knit so many different sizes at the same time. But this is the Alfred sweater, a sweater I really love all of the details on. I think I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites to knit, but it's one of my favorites to have knit. Once it's finished, I always feel really great about having made it, and I think when it's on, it's also really beautiful. So really excited about this one. I am knitting this in Krumpelumpe Tynn Merino Ull from Sandnes Garn in a discontinued color that I don't know the name of, and I also don't have a skein with me here because I've finished the skein that was attached to this, so I don't know the number, but it's discontinued anyway, so I don't know if you would be able to get it. But this is not really a project I am working on because it's not a deadline project at all. With the wedding dress, that has a strict deadline. With Christmas gifts, those have a strict deadline. I have a Christmas sweater for me and a Christmas cardigan for my son also. So all of those deadlines have to make them now. And the sweater number 20 also would be really nice to have in winter. But this is a thin sweater which we don't really use a lot of in the winter. It is 3 sizes too big and also on 3mm needle, so it just takes a long time. So this is not a priority at all. But this week, it was a couple of days ago, so I can't quite remember, but I just wanted a project that I kind of wasn't supposed to work on. I wanted to knit on something without feeling like trapped with all the deadlines. I have really enjoyed all of the deadlines this year. They haven't felt impossible or restricting, but sometimes I just want to knit because it's my hobby and just because I love it, and just knit on something silly that just leaves me satisfied. So I one evening just wanted to work on this one, so I said to myself, I'm going to finish the skein on this one, and then I'm going to go back to being productive on the right things. So that's what I did, and it ended up being quite a few rows. I am notoriously bad at telling how much yarn is left in a skein. If I like touch, let's say this is my skein, and as you can see, it doesn't look quite full, and if I then touch it and it feels quite flat, I'll be like, okay, that's almost done, give me 10 minutes and I'll finish that skein. And then it takes me 3 hours, and I'm that way no matter the yarn, no matter the project, no matter anything. So that happens with this as well, and it was way more yarn than I thought it was, but that just meant more time with a fun project for me. And I can't quite remember where I was before I started, but I think I did like this much from where my finger is and down. So made good progress. I haven't measured to see how much I have left. Probably still a lot. But after that session, I do have a bit more faith that I'll be able to finish this before Christmas, but it's still not a priority. But it's really nice to have a knit that's not a priority when you have so many other knits that are, because then I can just turn to this when I want to just do something fun without feeling obligated. So that's it for the Alfred sweater, but I did actually knit on this week at least. And it does feel really soft and amazing too, so I'm really excited about this. But that's it for that sweater. And then next up, I think, is the Christmas cardigan for my son. I am knitting quite a bit for him and trying to build his wardrobe back up, because after I started knitting for myself, it's been really hard to slow down knitting for myself. So now I am starting to almost feel behind on his wardrobe, but at the same time I'm also knitting 3 sizes ahead, so I think it's just a feeling. But here is the Christmas cardigan I am making. I really hope to be able to finish this soon, so we'll be able to use it for as much of the season as possible. But I did knit this also in a large size in 5 to 6 years, so we'll be able to use it for really long, since it is more of a seasonal knit. We'll probably use this other than just for Christmas, but since this is mostly a seasonal knit, I wanted us to be able to use it for as many years as possible without it being like ridiculously oversized. So this is the Christmas cardigan. It is a bit hard to show because I haven't got the buttons in, and these button bands need to be blocked a little bit. Doing button bands without a pattern was quite hard. I think my pickup could have been better, but they work. So here is the Christmas cardigan. This is based on the pattern for the teddy bear sweater, but I have of course made it into a cardigan. So I've changed the neckline a bit. I've changed how many stitches I cast on because I was going to add length with the button bands. I changed the German short rows a bit, and I think I also added a bit of length. But here it is. I do hope to sew in buttons now. that would make it a bit easier to show off, but here it is. I am really pleased with how this is looking so far and how soft it is. But when I did cast off, because I cast off the body this week, I also did the button bands this week, and when I'd done that, I felt like now it's ready to be tried on. It would be like a good point to try it on now to see if it has worked out to turn it into a cardigan. And I got my son to try it on, and I think that lasted for a second maybe before he ripped it off. So it doesn't seem like he's that into it. It doesn't seem like he likes it that much, which would be a bummer. But he also almost never wants to try on something unfinished. He really hates loose ends, and he hates when the sleeves are on like stitch holders. So I hope it was just because of that. But for that 1 second he tried it on, I could see that it would fit and the proportions are right. So I'm excited about that. And I also have the buttons here. I just had these buttons. I don't know if they fit super well, but these are the buttons I have. So I'm going to use these, and I thought that for this week's weaving and end segment that I would also do buttons for this, because I really don't want to procrastinate doing buttons, and I want this to be done as soon as possible. Hopefully it will be done in the next few days, because I just have sleeves left, and sleeves for children's clothes usually go by really quickly, especially on 4mm needles. 4mm needle sleeves are the quickest for me to knit. I don't know why, but 4mm sleeves are quicker for me than like 7mm sleeves. I think it's because I get into a better flow with 4mm needles because I use them more. So I am really excited about that. And then this will be almost done, and we'll have matching Christmas clothes, me with my Christmas dress and him with his Christmas cardigan. I think that will be really cute, and hopefully we'll be able to use it loads. I do also think this yarn combination is really soft. This is Drops Flora in red and Drops Kid Silk in red. Really excited. I have to say though, one thing against the red is that I have knit a lot with Drops. Drops is the yarn I knit most of my knits with, and I've used a lot of their Kid Silk because of that, and a lot of different colors. And I have to say that hands down, the red Kid Silk sheds a lot more than any of the others I've touched. I've made my Christmas dress, and the project bag looked like the mohair had shed all of its hair in that project bag. It was white to begin with inside, and when I removed my project you could just see like red hair all around, and I've never experienced that with any other mohair color. So that was it for the Christmas dress. And then I also used it when I made my levitate wrap. Same thing happened, and if I'm wearing like black pants or leggings, those are red after I'm done with the knitting session. And then now again, same thing with this, it just sheds a lot more than the regular mohair. So if you're going to knit with mohair and you're afraid of it shedding, probably choose another color than red. I don't know if it's a problem with all of the really saturated colors, because I have mostly used more colors like these, more like pastel colors and whites, but it's definitely a problem with the red. And I've also had different batches where it's been a problem with all of them, so that's something to keep in mind. But that's it for my son's Christmas cardigan. And then the next project is a project I haven't worked a ton on this week, because even though it might be one of the projects I'm the most excited about, it's also the project I would be fine if I didn't complete. A lot of the other, like the gift knits and everything, kind of have to be done, but this doesn't really. This is my Christmas sweater, and as I said, I already have a Christmas dress. I do think I would be able to get more use out of a Christmas sweater and use that for different occasions and more like everyday life. I'm not a dress person, I only use dresses for special occasions, so I really want this, but it wouldn't be a huge problem if I wasn't able to make it in time. So I haven't done a lot this week, but I also can't quite remember where I was at the last podcast. Maybe I have done a lot, I don't know. But I have finished the back yoke. Can't quite remember where I was at with that last week. I also don't know if this is how it will actually end up or if I'll have to frog, because I am designing this and I have knit myself quite a lot of clothes, so I am pretty sure how many stitches and how things should fit me and how I want it to fit, but you never quite know how it's going to end up. But this is the back. It's all on one needle, so it's a bit hard to show that I finished. I've done German short rows. I think I've done 10 German short rows on each side, and then this is also on 5mm needles, and then I knit so that from the highest point of the neck and down, I think this is a bit over 30 centimeters, maybe 31, maybe 32. And then I just started, let's see where I am. I just started working on the shoulder now, picked up stitches for that. That has been the most nerve-wracking part so far, and I don't know how it will work out just yet, but because of the German short rows, that kind of determines how many stitches you're going to pick up for the shoulder, and that's what I've done now. And I just need to knit a bit more to see how that works out with the shape of the German short rows and how many stitches I've picked up and everything. So I'm really excited, and the more I knit on this, the more I love the color, the fabric, how it is to work with. It's just amazing. I love this so much. And this is also, while this is a project I have to think quite a bit about because I'm making the decisions, this is also a great project in between everything else because it just brings me so much joy. I have really enjoyed knitting from other people's designs the last few years, but when I started my knitting career and all the way up until the last 4 years, I've never really been a person to follow patterns. I didn't really do that earlier on in my knitting, and I've learned so many techniques and so many fun ways of doing things because I've followed patterns, but it just feels really like comfortable and kind of like going back to my roots, to go back to a project where I just do what I want to and what I think would turn out good, and it just makes me so happy. I really hope that this will be kind of my gateway into doing more of my own, I don't know if I would call it designs, but freehanding more of my knits or making more modifications if I follow a pattern. I really hope so because I really want to do more of that again. I think it's so fun. This I am knitting in Hillesvåg Ask in the color Bondere. I don't know if that has an English translation. It would directly translated be Farmer's Red. Amazing color, amazing yarn. It's also Norwegian wool, which I think is really amazing. I'm almost through my first cone of yarn, but as I said, notoriously bad at telling, so I probably have more than one shoulder left in here. But I have to bring some of my skeins to my grandma because I don't have that like Swift and Winder stuff, but my grandma does, so we're going there to make more cones soon, so I won't run out of yarn. But yeah, I'm just super excited about this, and it just feels really great to be this excited about the project. That's almost my last project. I think I just have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, I think so. This should be my last project that's actually active, and that is Sunday socks that I just started. And these are the last Christmas gift that I'm going to ship. I still, after this, have 2 Christmas gifts left, but the 2 Christmas gifts I still haven't made after this are from people who live at the same place, in the same city as me, or the same town. I don't know the difference between those words, but they live where I live, so I won't have to stress with those gifts as much. But this is the last one I have to make, and I have to make it before Monday, I think, if I'm going to get it shipped in time. These are Sunday Socks Junior in the size 28 to 29. I'm making them in Perfect, and they're a match. I'm making them for 2 brothers, so I've already made the younger brother his pair, and now I'm making this pair. I just started on the first sock on the shaft. I hope I'm going to have enough yarn, but I also hope I'm just barely going to have enough yarn, because I have about 80 grams left of Perfect in my stash now, so this is going to take more than 60, definitely. I know, because of the other sizes I've made, and with less than 20 grams left, I don't know what to do with it, so I just hope it eliminates it from my stash. I really enjoy making Sunday socks. I keep all of my notes and all of my projects and everything in Knit and Out, and that also tells you how many times you've used your different patterns. And when I started this, I looked at it, and this is actually my 14th time making the Sunday socks, and that's just the Sunday socks I've made while having Knit and Out. I also made a couple before I got Knit and Out. So I think this is my most knit pattern. Uvernslua, or I think it's gotten an English name now, the Stormy Weather Hat by Strikkesoffe, the hat I've been absolutely obsessed with for the last couple of weeks, is a close second, which is really impressive because I've been knitting Sunday socks for 2 or 3 years now, but I've only knit the Uvernslua for 2 or 3 months, if that, so I think Uvernslua is going to win really soon, but so far the Sunday socks are my most knit pattern. And as I said, this is the last Christmas gift, so this is probably going to be my focus until I finish this, just so I'm sure I'm going to make it in time. And then after that, I think I'll finally have time to start making some ornaments, which I'm also really excited about. I have watched especially Hypknit Horace videos about ornaments, and the way she talks about ornaments and how excited she is about ornaments. Watching that made me want to make ornaments even more. It was so, what's it called, contagious. And now all I can think about is ornaments, but Christmas gifts first. But those 2 others I have left, I feel like I can wait a bit before I make, because they don't have to be done really before the 23rd, 24th. So I'm almost at a place where I can start making ornaments. So I don't really have a lot to say about these socks because I just started, but I'm really excited about almost being done making Christmas gifts, and I have had such a good time this year compared to last making Christmas gifts. I haven't felt stressed yet anyways about making them. I have known that I'm working on a deadline and that everything has to be done, that I'm shipping before the 16th, and that I want to make quite a few, so I've known that I have a lot of work ahead of me going into this, but I've been very good at not making any of the projects too big and having quite realistic goals and starting at quite a realistic time. And I also started really early this year, not like this last 2 weeks I've made a lot of Christmas gifts, but I did make the first Christmas gift in August, so just everything this year I feel really pleased about how I've done it, and not being super stressed out of my mind in December has been really nice. I still have tons of days to get stressed, and I probably will end up a bit stressed because there's always a bit more you want to do. I still have 2 pairs of mittens left, and I'll probably never want to stop with the ornaments, but I still just feel really good, more calm and collected than I've done in the years prior. So I'm really happy with that, and hopefully I'll keep this going in the next years and just keep the Christmas gifts small, so I can, instead of making a few big ones, I can make many small ones, and that just feels way better. But that is my active projects, and then I have a few finished ones. And first, just honorable mention to the mittens I finished last week, because I didn't weave in ends on them last week because color work and that's scary. But I did have my grandma over this week. My son made waffles and wanted to invite her, so we invited her here, and while she was here she weaved in the ends on these mittens, so they're all done, which I'm really pleased about. And then for what I actually finished this week, the first 2 things I finished this week I don't have here with me actually, because I finished them the same day I gave them away. I did mention them last week's podcast, and that was that I made 2 of the uværsluer, or the stormy weather hat in English. I made 2 of them for 2 of my son's friends, and we gave them away the same day, so I don't have them, but I have a picture of them here. I'm pretty sure the only picture I got of them was before the biggest hat was finished. The blue one wasn't quite finished when I got the picture, because I finished it on the way there, like outside the house. And then I also only got a picture of them with the rest of the gift I was also giving, but the 2 stormy weather hats in this picture are what I made earliest this week. And then I followed that up with another stormy weather hat, because I'm obsessed. When I say I'm obsessed, I actually mean it. I can't stop making these hats. They are all I think about. I want to make it every time I finish something, I'm like, okay, I should custom a stormy weather hat as a reward to myself. Okay, I finished all the Christmas gifts, I want to make a stormy weather hat. Okay, whatever I do, I want to reward myself by making a stormy weather hat. But this is the last one in the collection so far. This is in the size 0 months, using Knitting for Olive yarn. I think this color is called ballerina, so ballet dancer. It's this lovely, really light pink that I had about 40 grams of, so I used it for the smallest size. Used up almost all of the yarn and just have tiny scrap left that I don't quite know what to do with, probably ornaments or something, or I'll save it to do stripes in a Friday sweater. But this is a really tiny cute one. I think this will end up being a gift for my uncle's baby. He's having a baby girl next spring, and I'm really excited. Very few of my friends and family have had girls in the last few years. There were a lot of girls in my family when I was young, and all of my cousins, but the last 2 cousins I had, they were twin boys, and all of my friends have been having boys. I had a boy, so there's been a lot of boys, so I'm really excited now to be knitting for a girl, but I don't know what I want to knit. There's so many possibilities there, and I'm mostly used to knitting for boys. So if you have any must-have designs, or a designer or a pattern that you just loved knitting for any of the girls in your life, please let me know about them. I'm searching. I'm starting to plan it all out. This will probably be one of my main focuses after the new year, to make this baby shower gift, or it's not a baby shower gift, but barselgave we call it here. You give it after birth, but I think this will be part of it. This is the first thing, which I'm really excited about. But that was the third thing I finished this week, and I haven't weaved in the ends. And then the fourth thing I finished this week, and the last thing, is that I finished these Sunday socks. These are the small for the littlest brother, and this is for the eldest brother. I finished these. These are in size 24 to 25, also in perfect. Surprisingly quick knit. I always feel like these are going to take so long because you start by doing the shaft and that feels like it goes on quite quickly, but once you move on to the leg and do the heel, I think that this is also going to take as long because they are the same length, but this just flies by. The feet of the socks always just, and then it's done. So I super enjoy it. I love doing Sunday socks. Sunday socks and stormy weather hats, they are in my heart forever. I love doing those patterns. They're just so fun. All of the babies and kids in my life, they have Sunday socks and they have stormy weather hats. They are my go-to. I might just give them to children in my life on a regular Tuesday because just everyone needs to have these, and also I just need to make them. So highly recommend if you have any children in your life. These also come in the adult size. I'm actually wearing mine right now, and I really love mine as well. I wear these almost every day. Now that it's winter, I'm wearing either these or the Marius socks that my grandma gifted me. I'm wearing one of those every single day. Nothing can beat homemade socks. So highly recommend these, and the stormy weather hat if you ever want to get like obsessed with the pattern. So those are also the things I finished this week. I'm really happy with that, and I'm also really happy with the amount of ends I weaved in this week. I of course didn't weave in all of ends, but I got my grandma to weave in ends on one project, and I weaved in ends on the hats I've already given away. So now I only have these two left, and then I really want to do buttons on this one, so I think that's what I'm going to use this segment for. And then I still won't have done anything about this. Maybe I'll weave in ends on this as well because it's only 2 ends, and then I'll actually have done something about my basket of shame. I'll start by doing that actually, just so I won't keep adding anything to there. I think I'll be able to get more done on the basket of shame once I'm done knitting Christmas gifts, because Christmas gifts have just been adding projects to weaving ends on so quickly that I haven't really been able to keep up with them. But I'm going to be soon with the I'm going to be done with the mass production of Christmas gifts really soon. I'm going to be done with that really soon, so then I should be able to weave in ends more, and there's also not that many projects left in my basket of shame, so I really think it should be doable before New Year's. If not, we're going to celebrate New Year's with my family anyway, so if I'm not done with everything by New Year's Eve, I'm going to sit my mom down and make her weave in ends with me. Might even invite my grandma to do that as well. Let's see the other end. I'm really happy I did split splicing on this blanket, because what a game changer. It would have been 12 or 14 ends or something to weave in on this blanket if I hadn't done that, and now instead it was 2. So that's a really big game changer. Highly, highly, highly recommend doing split splicing if you're not doing that. Let's see. And the blanket is done. I think I'm going to iron steam this, or what it's called, but then that will be all done. This might also be part of the gift I'm giving my uncle, but I don't know quite yet if this suits the like vibe of the rest of the gift, but I do have a gift drawer where I just keep adding things because I like this. Sometimes I just want to make a baby blanket or want to make a baby sweater, so I do it, and that accumulates over time. So I do have a drawer with a lot of different things where I can just go and pick like a pair of pants here or a sweater here to complement the rest of the gift. I really love doing that. I'm so glad to have a drawer like that, so I won't have to make everything from scratch when I'm making a gift. Let's see, now we're moved on to the second project. I might not be able to weave in, so to do the buttons while we sit here, because the buttons will probably take a long time to do. And I also haven't marked where I need them to be on the other side, so might not be able to do that, but at least I'll be able to weave in all of these ends. And let's see what we can talk about. I am really excited to almost be heading into the new year. I just always think it's a bit of a fresh start, and also in the new year I'm going to go through my stash again. I went through my stash at the beginning of 2024 and made a video about that, so it's really easy to look back on, and I'm really excited to see how my stash has changed in a year, and also to rearrange my stash, because no matter how much I try to keep my stash tidy, just using from my stash always makes it so messy. So going back and like really tidying it, removing everything and starting fresh always helps. And I'm pretty sure there is a few grams of yarn or a few skeins here and there that's hiding that I haven't added to my yarn stash. I have my yarn stash on Knitting just to try to keep track, but I'm pretty sure I haven't gotten it all in there. So hopefully now that I've been able to stash bust a bit over the last year and then got more yarn and then stash bust even more, hopefully I'll be able to find everything and log everything and finally have 100% control. I am really excited about the amount of stash busting I've been able to do the last couple of months. I have made one of my goals for Christmas gifts this year. I had quite a few goals, but one of them was to not buy any yarn for Christmas gifts, because I do have quite a lot of yarn in my stash, so it shouldn't be necessary, and I've been able to do that. I haven't bought any yarn for any of the Christmas gifts, which means that the Christmas gifts has helped me stash bust quite a lot. Also, all of the different uverslur that I've made that haven't been Christmas gifts as well have also helped me stash bust. So I'm really excited about the amount of stash busting I've been doing. I still have a lot of yarn left, but I am pretty sure I'm under 30 kilos now, and I'm also almost under 90,000 meters, and it wasn't that long ago that I was at 100,000 meters. So definitely doing stash busting. Hopefully I'll keep up with that. I do have a few wishes for Christmas that are yarn. I really want yarn to make my son a new zipper sweater. He has a zipper sweater light, but his regular zipper sweater is starting to be too small, so I want to get yarn for that. And I've also been thinking a lot about the penny cardigan v-neck that I also really want to make, but we'll see if I get yarn for anything or not. But I think I could still get a little bit of yarn and still be able to stash bust. My goal isn't to completely like never get yarn until my yarn stash is empty. It's just to focus on what I actually have in my yarn stash that I'm really excited about making, instead of just looking at Instagram and getting inspiration there and never doing what I've already planned and what I already have yarn for in my stash. But I think this shelf helps me a lot, because that like reminds me very like front and center, hey, you're planning to knit like this now, you're planning to, so I get like confronted with it all the time, what I've actually planned on doing, and it's instead this. It's like, it can be inspirational if I'm like looking at it, but I can't look at this and like see, okay, yeah, this is a project, whereas here it's separated by project, separated, I try to at least by categories, so I can look at that and like very easily tell what I've been thinking and planning on doing. So that keeps me on track and also makes me really excited about finishing enough projects so I'll get to the next project in the shelf. But we'll see. I still have not been able to decide on a Christmas cast on. I have been thinking back and forth about a Mario sweater, but I don't think a Mario sweater, I don't think I want to do that as my Christmas cast on. It might be more of a Easter knit for me. I would love to make a Mario sweater during Easter. So I'm still going back and forth about what to make for my Christmas cast on. I have thought a bit about using that red yarn over here. That was originally for an Elizabeth blouse. I can't remember what the pattern is called, but I know that Morka Knit has a pattern that is quite similar and that I've decided to do instead. I think it might be called Charlie pullover. I've heard that it fits a bit better both in the sleeve and the armhole, and also that the color lays better on that one. So I'm going to do that one instead. Might do that for my Christmas cast on because it's yarn and pattern that I'm really excited about. Haven't checked that the gauge is right yet though. But and it's also red, which feels very on theme for Christmas, even though as a Christmas cast on you're kind of moving out of Christmas. But I do also just love red. I feel really pretty in red, and my red sweaters are some of the sweaters I've used the most since I started knitting with red. I just started that in the last year, but I am really loving those. So I think that would be a really good Christmas cast on, but I don't know if I want my Christmas cast on to be red. We'll see. I think I will make up my mind as we like get there and I see what else I finished. Maybe I won't have finished enough things on time, so I won't really have time to justify casting something on Christmas Eve. We'll see. Now I'm almost done weaving in the last end on this sock, and I think we'll stop there because it would take me probably another 10-15 minutes to do the buttons on the cardigan, so I'll do that sometime else, or maybe even better, I'll get my grandma to do it. But yeah, this is almost done now. I am really excited to be done with all of these Christmas gifts and go back to knitting more baby gifts and finishing everything that's been on my needles for really long. I am more and more excited about finishing the wedding dress too. Last week, after I tried it on, I didn't really love it and was a bit demotivated, but I've been looking at the pictures from it a bit here and there throughout this week, and it is growing on me. I just think when you're wearing something yourself and it's like a big important thing and you've had a vision, it's always a bit hard to try it on and see how it looks and not judge too harshly. But as I give it time to kind of process and think about it. I do really like how it looks, so I'm excited to work on that going forwards too, and we're really close to being done with the actual dress, which is really exciting, and just moving on to all of the details. But that's it for this week. Weaved in ends, got things done, so really excited about all of that, and I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!